New series this week is called Pioneer. And the title of today's session, today's message is simple. It's what if? Write that down. Write that down. If you're taking notes, write it down. If you're not taking notes, borrow a pen, wake up your wife, your husband, say you need something to write with, because here we don't believe in motivation. We believe in inspiration, education, application, which leads to transformation, right? Now let's define the word pioneer. Pioneer is someone who does something that's never been done before in order to prepare a way for other people. I'm gonna say that again a little slower so you can write it down. A pioneer is someone who does something that's never been done before in order to prepare a way for other people. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Let's talk about a couple of pioneers that we all know about. Talking about people like Steve Jobs, right? Who pioneered a specific lane for what he was called to. Let's talk about Jesus, who pioneered a specific way. We're talking about Paul, who pioneered a specific way. It's talking about Elon Musk, and we're talking about Jeff Bezos, and we're talking about Walt Disney, and we're talking about Oprah, and we're talking about Noah. We're talking about some of these people who in our lives, both biblically and both secularly, who have pioneered different ways and different industries and different lanes in order to prepare a way for people who are coming behind them. I want to ask you a question this morning. What is the purpose of pioneering? I want you to think about that for a second. What is the purpose of pioneering? What is the purpose of pioneering, right? It sounds cute, right? It sounds great. It sounds sexy. But what is the real purpose? Is it just to be the first to do something? Is it to be the one to do something new, something brand new? No, pioneering has very specific metrics that it is designed to meet in the life of people. And I'm going to give you two of them this morning. Number one, the purpose of pioneering is, number one, to solve problems. Write that down. To solve problems. Number two, the purpose of pioneering is to make the world a better place, right? And listen, there are some pioneers who have pioneered the world into some not so great places. If you're on the call this morning, we're talking about moving forward in a place of making the world a better place, not a negative place, right? And so if you're a dream diver, that's a part of your DNA, pioneering things, solving problems that will leave the world in a better place than how you found it. A pioneer, when they die and they go on to their everlasting life, and they never have to wonder if they left the world better. Somebody needs to write that down. A pioneer never has to wonder what people are going to say at their funeral about what they did with their life. Pioneer never has to wonder if what they did will actually live on and create lasting legacy and ripple effects and a domino effect of transformation and impact in the lives of people around the world. A pioneer asks themselves one very specific question I want to ask you this morning. A pioneer walks up to a situation in their life where they see a problem and they ask themselves the question, what if? Write that down. A pioneer asks themselves the question, when they walk up to a specific problem that is near and dear to their heart, they ask the question, what if? They ask themselves, what if? A pioneer, let me give you some more. I'm going to give you some more before I answer the question, what if, and give you some thoughts around that. I want to give you some more DNA of a pioneer this morning. Write this down. A pioneer does not need certainty. They only need possibility. Right? A pioneer does not need to know that everything is in place, that everything is going to be easy, that everything has been answered, that the path has already been created. They don't need certainty. They only need possibility. All they need to see is a little light at the bottom of the pile. All they need to see is that there's a little bit of air getting into this tight room with no windows and no doors. All they need to see is a little slither of possibility. That is where you can tell the difference between a pioneer and somebody who is just a maintainer of what the world has already given them. A pioneer doesn't need a blueprint, y'all. Pioneer does not need a blueprint. They only need opportunity. Pioneer doesn't need somebody to hand them a set of plans, of architectural plans on how to do it and when to do it and where to do it. All they need is opportunity. We're talking about people like Henry Ford. When there was no vehicle, he created the first one. All he needed was possibility and opportunity. We're talking about the Wright brothers, where there was no airplanes. All they needed was possibility and opportunity, and they were able to create something that did not exist for people behind them to give them a better way, a better solution. We're talking about the creators and the founders of Uber. Before Uber, we were doing things like yelling at taxis and cabs and hoping we can get a ride sometime between 1 minute and 20 minutes of trying to track somebody down. But they had a vision, they had the heart posture to solve a problem and to make the world a better place. My question for you this morning is, what are you pioneering? What have you been called to solve, to do first, to create, to make the world a better place? Are you looking for certainty? Or are you looking for possibility? Are you looking for a blueprint? Or are you looking for opportunity? I tell you, in my own life, my prayer to God every single day is, God, all I need is possibility, opportunity, and wisdom. Come on, that's your formula for pioneering: possibility, opportunity, and wisdom. Possibility, opportunity, and wisdom. And I tell you, if you get the wisdom of God and you can see and seize possibility, and you can see and seize opportunity, you can do some things that most people will never, ever be able to do. Some of us on the call this morning, we want certainty, we want a blueprint, and we want somebody to hand us the X's and O's and a playbook. And I'm telling you this morning that there is no playbook for pioneering. There is no playbook for pioneering. Pioneering is a part of the DNA of the pioneer. And so nobody can inform you on how to do what you've been called to do, because you were the one called to do it. You were the one called to build it. And if they could build it, they would have already built it. Can I tell you this morning, pioneer asks one specific question when they meet head to head with this problem, this cause, this area in their life that has been causing them pain, and they feel called to step into a lifetime of service in this area. They ask the question, what if, what if, what if, what if? And I remember 2004 when I was walking out of the doors of the Marine Corps, and I just gotten the epiphany from heaven on what I was called to do. I was called to be a voice, be a coach, be a leader, be a pastor for people who have been called to something greater. And I remember sitting down in my home and going on the internet and going on the TV and looking for films and content and a voice and a thought leader and a company and an organization that is specifically speaks life to pioneers, visionaries, and world changers who have a larger than life dream to do something that the world has never seen. And I would flip the channel and I would turn on YouTube and I would go through Amazon looking for the different people. And I remember being frustrated because I couldn't find the company that was designated to speak to purpose-driven pioneers, visionaries, and world changers. I couldn't find the company. It didn't exist. And that's when God tapped me on my shoulder and said, tag, you're it. Tag, you're it. And I began, and this question began to fill my mind: what if I could solve this problem so that the Sandys and the Sanays and the Sonias and the Marys and the Docs of the world, who also were called to something greater, didn't have to wonder and search high and low for the company who specialized in speaking life and coaching and making content and speaking down to the depths of their soul to help them do what they were created and called to do. What if that company exists? And this morning, I want to give you 3 questions that every pioneer asked themselves. And these are life-defining questions. These are crusade questions. These are mission-oriented questions that if you keep these questions on the very forefront of your mind, on the tip of your tongue, it will drive you to do some of the greatest things that's never been done. It will drive you to be an innovative leader in whatever you've been called to, whether it's selling T-shirts or selling water, whatever it is that you've been called to do for why you've been called to do it. These questions will inform the direction of your crusade. Number one, the number one question I want you to always ask yourself is, what if we could solve this problem? What if I could solve this problem? Somebody write that in the chat. What if I could solve this problem? I'm telling you, that question right there will keep you up at night. It will cause you to begin to daydream during the day. It'll cause the wheels and the gears of your mind to begin to step into action and begin to make your blood pressure raise just a little bit, because then you begin to imagine a world. You begin to imagine a world where the problem that God has led you to could essentially be eradicated or minimized or reduced because of your lifelong participation in pioneering something that does not exist. What if we could solve this problem? I want you to think about that for a second, whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching a replay, whether you're listening to this on the podcast. I want you to really take a second and think about that. What is the problem that I've been called to solve in the world with my life? I'm here, I'm listening, I'm watching because there's something that I've been called to. What if I could solve this problem? What would the world look like? What if I could solve this problem? What would that mean to the people behind me who are still struggling in this area in their life? What if they didn't have to struggle? What if they didn't have to go through what I went through? What if they didn't have to suffer? What if there was, what if they didn't have to live a life where this was the only way? What if I could be the one to create the resources and the tools so that they don't have to walk the path that I walked through? What if the Wright brothers asked themselves the question, what if people didn't have to drive or take trains and spend so much time away from the people they love, and there was a better way or a faster way to get to places so that they don't spend their lives traveling as long and as far? Steve Jobs asked the question, what if there was a better way to do computing? What if there was a better way to stay connected? What if there was a better way? My question for you this morning is, what if you could solve the problem that God has put you on a collision course to solve? What would that look like in the world, not just in your life? What would that look like in the world? What would that look like? Because we always want to dream big, start small. What would that look like if you could solve this problem for the people in your network? Maybe your 5 closest friends who may have this struggle. What would this look like for the people in your neighborhood? What would this look like if you could solve this problem for the people in your region? What would this look like if you could solve this problem for the people in your state? What would this look like if you could solve this problem for the people in this country? What would it look like if you could solve this problem for the people in the world who suffer from this problem? Remember when You had this problem? Remember when it brought you to your knees? Remember the nights where you couldn't stop crying because you couldn't figure out a way to get out of it, to get over it, to go through it, to go around it? What if the world had a resolve for this problem? That's number one. If you're a pioneer, that question has to be on the forefront of your mind day in and day out, day in and day out. Pioneers are problem solvers. Write that down. Pioneers are problem solvers. Number two, if you're going to pioneer something, this is the second question that I need you to keep on the forefront of your mind. What if there was a better way? What if there was a better way? Like, I know there's this organization and that organization and these people over here, but what if there was a new and better way, as opposed to making a better car or a better train? What if we could fly through the air? What if there was a better way to travel? What if there was a better way to consume content? What if there was a better way to get over the obstacles of feeling like you are no one and nobody? What if there was a better way than just doing what we've always done, how we've always done it, just because that's how it's always been done? What if there was a better way? Can I tell you, that is a question that I ask myself every single day. You can ask anybody on my staff. We will not do it the way that they've done it just because that's the way it's always been done. There is a new and different way. Why? Because clearly when we needed what we needed, it wasn't there. It wasn't the way that we needed it. And so for us, we don't want to just do it the way it's always been done because it's easy. We want to find a way that will reach, teach, and impact people in ways that they've never experienced it before, because we know that those new ways, those innovative ways, will stick and last longer than showing up and doing it the way that it's always been done. I have many, I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old, both boys. And I don't know how many parents are listening or watching this, but you could say stuff to your kids so many times over and over again that they start to tune you out. Anybody know what I'm talking about? They just start to tune you out like you're not even talking. And that happens a lot, specifically in the area of sports, because I've been coaching my kids for a while in youth sports. And so after a while, they just tune you out because you're dad, right? And so sometimes you have to find new and innovative ways for them to hear you and for them to receive from you, right? And so when you are pioneering something, that is essentially what you are doing. The marketplace, in whatever you've been called to, has probably become accustomed to a certain type of thing, a certain type of way, a certain type of language, a certain type of routine. And so the marketplace people have begun to become immune to what already exists. And so the reason why God has called you to step into the lane you're being called to is because he wants to wake some people up in some areas that we've become immune to, or that it never existed in the first place. And so if you're here this morning, if you have that DreamDiver DNA in you, I challenge you to find the new and the better way to do what you've been called to do. Because if you show up like everybody else, you will fall right into the pig pen with all the rest of the pigs, right? And I ain't calling nobody a pig, but you understand what I'm saying. You will fall right into line with everything that ever existed, and it will be almost impossible for you to be able to stand out and serve in the way that you've been called to serve. People like, Ira, why do you dive out of planes? Ira, why do you have your events at the drop zone? Ira, why do you do the things you do? Because I understand very early that God says, if you don't do it the way I said do it, how I said do it, you will fall right into the noise of everybody else who has a message. No disrespect to anybody else who has a message. No disrespect to anybody else who's building anything. But God says, I've called you to stand apart, to stand aside, to to stand up straight so that the world can hear you and see you in what I've called you to. And I came to bring you that message this morning, that if you are a pioneer, I need you to ask yourself the question every single day, what if there's a better way? And I can see and I can sense that some of you, the gears in your brain are moving right now, and you begin to ask yourself all the right questions. And if as you begin to study other pioneers globally, both if you're a man or woman of faith in the Bible, if you are someone who studies greatness and people who've pioneered, you'll begin to see certain themes. All of them ask themselves the question, what if there was a better way? And that is why you now have the things that you have, and the technology that you have, and the resources that you have, and the lives that we live, because somebody who came before us asked themselves the question, what if I could solve this problem? And what if there was a better way? Number 3, if you're going to pioneer something, if you're going to pioneer an industry or a segment of the marketplace, you have to ask yourself this very last and important question. What if I'm the one? Somebody put that in the chat. What if I'm the one? Because have you ever gone somewhere and you wish you were in your office, or you wish you had a certain tool or like a special kind of stapler or a special kind of hole punch? You're like, man, if I had some money, I would invent this new. Right? Anybody ever said that, or is it just me? I would just, man, this thing is missing. They need to add this to the refrigerator. But when it comes to the lane that God has called you to, the days of us looking to our left and to our right, waiting for somebody to invent or innovate, to build or to create what God has called us to pioneer are over. I need you to ask yourself the question, what if I'm the one? What if I'm the one? What if one day is not the language that I'm supposed to have? What if I wish there was is not the language that I'm supposed to have? What if my language is, what if God is calling me to be the one to pioneer this specific thing in the world? What if it's me? What if God has tapped me on the shoulder? What if I can't find it in the world and my heart yearns for it in the world, and I have the vision for it in the world, and I have the skill set, and I can develop the skill set to either build it or recruit a team to help build it? What if I am the one? And I know it's easy for us to put it on other people and to say we don't have the skills, and to say clearly God is mistaken, or God, let me get my life together first, or let me go get this degree first, or let me do all these other things. Like, God, maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you just gave me this idea so I can pass it on to Mary, or maybe this was for my son or for my children, or we come up with all these excuses like, God, my bank account is not right. I need to kind of get my life together. So clearly you can't be telling me while I'm struggling that I'm supposed to pioneer a new industry. That can't be what I'm hearing, God. Or God, I'm not an architect. So why would you give me this heart and this heart posture to build infrastructure in places that don't have it, so that they can do things that have never been done? Like, God, well, I'm not an architect, God, but I've always had a love for this or for that. But Lord, there's a huge gap between what you're calling me to do and where I'm at. Like, clearly, this is my own foolish imagination. This can't be God calling me to this. I tell you today that if you can't eat, sleep, or work your regular job because this thing is constantly in your head and constantly in your spirit and constantly in your heart and constantly in your soul, newsflash, you're the one. You're the one. And just because you're the one does not mean that you will be the only one building what you've been called to build. It just means that you're the one that God has come to with the vision. So if you're a pioneer, I need you to understand it's not your brother or your sister or your left or your right. You are the one. And listen, this is not for everybody, not everybody on this call, not everybody who is a part of our community. Not all of you are entrepreneurial. Some of you are entrepreneurial, right? Let me ask you this question though. If you're an entrepreneur, which means you build from the inside of a greater vision than you, that does not mean that you cannot be pioneering within a pioneer's vision. The greatest asset to any pioneer is to recruit a team of entrepreneurial pioneers, people who will see the vision, grab a hold of it, and create and innovate what was not on the paper when the pioneer gave them the vision. And so if you're going to build something great, you need a team of entrepreneurial pioneers. Come on, you need some people who you will hand them a number 2 pencil and they'll give you back a mechanical pencil. Like you need some people on your team who will take what you've given them because it is in alignment with their assignment, their purpose, their dream, and they will give you back something far greater than you've ever gotten. I sent a message to my team about 2 weeks ago, and I told them, I said, listen, guys, thank you so much for your heart. Thank you for your talent. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your work ethic. But in this next season of the DreamDiver company, I need more than that. I need you to become engineers and scientists of the mission and the vision and the dream that is ahead of us. I need you to become engineers and scientists of the mission, vision, and dream that is ahead of us. What does that mean? I need you to be asking the questions, what if we could solve this problem? What if there was a better way? And what if we're the one? How do we do what we have not done, what has not been done, so that the world can have something that they've always needed? And I tell you today that if you're going to pioneer something, you need to do these 3 things. Write this down. You need to think big, talk big, execute big. You need to think big, talk big, and execute big. You have no time for small-minded thinking. You need to think big, talk big, and execute big. What does that mean? That does not necessarily mean that you need to go out and get the stadium tomorrow. It means that you need to understand that the stadium is in your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, and you will start where you are and you will earn your way to the big. You need to think big, talk big, execute big. You need to begin to reach out for some things that stretch you. It does not matter if you don't know how yet. Pioneers are never afraid of what they do not know. Why? Because they know if they do the research, if they do the homework, and if they begin to take steps of action, they will figure it out. And if it's not what they thought it was, when they get to where they think they're supposed to be, they will figure it out where they are. You need to think big, talk big, and execute big wherever you find yourself at. That means today, if all you have is an iPhone and an internet connection, you need to think big, talk big, and execute big. That means if all you have as a backdrop is the wall in your living room to shoot your videos, you need to think big, talk big, and execute big. Don't ever despise the days of small beginnings, right? Because big is relative to where you are today and where you are going. I need you to operate as if you are already at the level that you were called to. You guys know the story. I started podcasting from my living room in the middle of my 900 square foot apartment. I need you to think big, talk big, and execute big. Nobody knew where I was. Nobody knew what I was doing. Nobody knew. As a matter of fact, if you're watching this right now, this is the same setup that I had in my 900 square foot apartment. Guess what? I ain't there no more. God has done a miracle in our lives, and we are in a bigger, better home and a bigger, better place. But you would never know the difference between 900 square foot apartment in my living room and where I am right now. Why? Looks the same. Think big, talk big, execute big. Does not matter where you are today. A pioneer is never deterred at what they see on day one, because they know if they keep moving their feet, eventually they will get to something new, something better, and they'll be able to solve the problems that they set out to solve. A pioneer understands, and I want you to catch this, a pioneer understands that where they have been called to leave from is their safety net in their comfort zones. And they are being called to walk into something that is unknown and uncertain. And pioneers know that they could literally lose their life in the pursuit of something better and something new. They realize that they could lose their life in the pursuit of what they know that they were called to pioneer. And they are willing, able, ready, and excited to sacrifice themselves in order to create a new path for people who are behind them, who do not know what's possible. Hear what I'm telling you. A pioneer is willing to sacrifice themselves. And that could be physically, that could be spiritually, emotionally, could be character-wise. When Henry Ford set out to build the vehicle, what if he would have failed as he did multiple times? What if he would have became the laughingstock of his community, of his home, of his family, if he never figured it out? Like, you have to be willing and ready and knowing that you are putting your life on the line when you decide to say yes to your assignment and pioneer something greater. Are you willing to lay your life on that altar? Are you willing to do it and it suck at first? Are you willing to do it and nobody recognize you or call your name or email you or invite you? Are you willing to do it until it gets better and better and better? Are you willing to do it even if you have to start off at the bottom? Are you willing to do it if it costs you time, money, energy, and years of your life? A pioneer asks the question, what if? Pioneer asked the question, what if? If that question right there has ever kept you up at night, that question right there has caused you to write pages and pages and pages of notes in your journal, if that question right there has kept you on your knees in prayer, night after night after night, if that question has ever caused you to cry tears that you don't even have left because your tear ducts have all dried up, if the question what if has ever caused you to go into your own personal bank account and to spend money that you can't afford to spend, to do things that you feel called to do, if the question what if has compelled you to walk away from good things and great things to get to the God things, to get to the new things, to get to the uncertain things, that question what if it makes your heart beat faster. The question what if has called you to be an attractive, compelling, convicting, inspiring individual that has begun to attract great people around you. If that question what if has pushed you to your limits, if that question what if has scared you out of your mind, if that question what if has become your pulse, and chances are you have pioneer DNA running through your veins. And chances are it's time for you to move to another level of execution, another level of education, another level of application, another level of studying, another level of learning, another level and another level, because you have been called to either A, build something that you see, or B, if you're entrepreneurial, is to get connected to someone who's building something that makes you come alive on the inside so that you can come in and begin to help them build what has not been built. What if? That is the language of a pioneer.